I got to keep you guys informed on what's going on with Fani. I'm sorry, Fani. I got to keep you guys informed on what's going on with Fani. Okay? So, Fani, the ex wife of Nathan Wade just so happened to be the man that she hired. Um, and it's kind of blowing up the spot right now. We know that Fani is trying to make sure that she prosecutes Trump, and she's trying to be the needle in a haystack that tries to prevent Trump from becoming the president of the United States, right? But what Fani didn't know was that the ex-wife of Nathan Wade was out here running up a check. Shout out to Rita Cameron. Was out here running up a check on her behalf because apparently she was paying him, and they was taking trips together. But there's a Senate panel that's saying that they could, might, and would investigate what's going on in Willis's case, considering that Nathan Wade has yet to testify in his own divorce proceedings, and that divorce is now unsealed. But we're gonna get there, all right? So make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me run a couple of clips by you guys so you guys can stay informed on what's going on with Fani.
The Georgia Senate is poised to conduct investigative hearings into the office of Fulton District Attorney Fani Willis.
The majority Republican Senate says it aims to use power rarely used at the state level to target Willis, who is prosecuting former President Donald Trump.
Let me hold off for a second and let me give a round of applause to my beautiful black sisters. I know we like to give y'all S all the time, but I'm going to just say that this set of women, this couple of women that we see right here that is at this news desk is very, very pleasant to look at. I'm not even going to cap. I know they got their hair done, nails done, everything did. Hair done, nails done, everything did. Oh, you fancy, huh? I like these sisters right here. They looking good. They looking very, very good. Absolutely. So I'm going to have to give credit where credit is due. Look, I'm an equal accountability smoke giver. And so in the same way that I hold you guys accountable is the same way that I have to make sure that I hold these women down and say, hey, I love what y'all got going on there. Shout out to these sisters right here.
Used at the state level to target Willis, who is prosecuting.
And they know how to communicate effectively. They're pronouncing and enunciating their words correctly. I like these women. These are the type of women that we rock with, all right?
Former President Donald Trump. 11 Alive's Doug Richards is joining us now with more on what we are seeing here from the state capitol. Doug.
Yeah, you know, Congress is well known for its politically charged investigations, and now there are Republicans here at the state Senate level who say that it's kind of time for them to get on board and conduct a similar investigation, perhaps into Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Because the state government sends about $3 million a year to help fund the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, Republican Greg Dolezal says that's reason enough to investigate how the DA is spending tax dollars.
Whenever people get upset with what you got going on, listen, some of the most notorious gangsters, they wasn't able to get them on a RICO case. They maybe not was able to prosecute them because nobody was going to snitch on what was going on behind the scenes. They weren't the ones that was touching the drugs or committing the crimes. But you know how you can get to people? You always got to follow the money. Now, they saying that they giving over $3 million a year for them to operate this office. And how they choose to spend that money within that office is absolutely worth investigating. I think that it should be an audit on a regular basis. Everybody need to be, all these offices, these public offices, they need to be audited. Because now, we're not just talking about ethics. We also talking about where is the money going. And if you are inappropriately allowing for somebody to build and spending taxpayer dollars on making, because again, we don't know. We genuinely don't know. Was that money being spent and billed and then y'all going out there and busting it down out there in the Caribbean and in California together? We don't know. All we can do is speculate and look at it. And I'm curious, what is happening with the money? You can't use other people's money and then go out there and party in the Caribbean while you still married and then sit here and think that we just supposed to stand pat and that's the end of the conversation because you was on the pulpit preaching to the congregation. No, we want to know where the money is.
The General Assembly historically has perhaps not used their investigative authority as much as they should, in my opinion.
Dolezal wants to use that authority to examine Fulton County's election interference prosecution of former President Donald Trump. DA Fani Willis hired Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade to handle it. Willis hasn't answered an allegation made in a court filing that she has a personal relationship with Wade. But records show Fulton County has paid Wade's firm some $653,000 for his services.
The serious allegations that are out there as to whether or not this is prosecution for profit or there is some sort of inherent conflict of interest in the ongoing prosecution in Fulton County.
Frankly, it smacks of McCarthyism.
Democrats say a Republican-led Senate investigation into Willis, who is a Democrat, would be a political exercise.
So it's a political exercise for us to audit how you're spending the money, the public's money, that we're allocating to you to do your job. So if one person is able to bill within a year $653,000 worth of billing. Now, I'm not the smartest knife in the tool shed. I'm not the sharpest knife in the tool shed. But let me just calculate that. It's 8,760 hours in a year. In general. 365 days, 8,760 hours in a year, right? And so if you got 653,000 in charges divided by $250 an hour, that's 2,612 hours worth of billing. 2,612 hours worth of billing. Now, if I go through 2,612 hours worth of billing, that would mean, let me get my mental math on. 2,612 divided by 24. So that means that you billed for 108 days. Now remember, it's 24 hours in a day. So we actually need to divide that. So let's assume that you billing at a rate of about 8 hours a day, right? 2,612 divided by 8. Then that means that if it's 365 days in a year, then you billed for 326 of them. Let me be clear. Let me just say that one more time. If it's 365 days in a year, you billed for the equivalent at $250 an hour, 326 of them. So like I said, my mental math is not the greatest. I am but a lowly C student. But all I'm saying is the math is a little bit weird for me. And so for me, that's a red flag because if it's my business or if it's my public dollars and I'm down there in Georgia, I want to know where all my dollars are going. As a resident of Georgia, I want to know where my dollars is going, right? So let's just continue.
Election year in an effort to undermine Fulton County's criminal case against Trump.
It's certainly overreach, and I think that the Republicans do feel like this is some kind of payback or retribution for what Fani Willis has done.
The resolution has enough co-sponsors for it to pass the Senate. If and when the committee is formed, it will be run by Republicans. There will certainly be a few Democrats on it, but the committee would almost certainly do the bidding of its Republican majority.
So let's pivot for a second. Let's look at a different article or a different newscast because we want to get it from multiple different angles, right?
Tonight, more questions aimed at Fulton County DA Fani Willis and her indictment of former President Trump, this time from state senators. Georgia lawmakers are considering a committee to investigate Willis and her alleged improper relationship with Nathan Wade, the man she hired as a special prosecutor. Political reporter Doug Reardon is live tonight at the state capitol after talking to the Republican state senator behind this effort. So what do they want to look at here, Doug?
Yeah, hey, Blair. Well, the main thing is they want to make sure that no state or county funds were misused as this process of hiring a special prosecutor and investigating this indictment actually played out. Now, this wouldn't be disciplinary for Fani Willis. They wouldn't pass down any sort of punishment or take her off the case. But state laws could end up being changed at the end of this, depending on what they find.
And so there's a lot of people that are interested in this.
State Senator Greg Dolezal wants clarity on recent allegations claiming an improper relationship between District Attorney Willis and Special Prosecutor Wade during the course of Fulton County's historic election indictment.
And there's a lot of questions out there with not as many answers.
This week, he proposed a special investigations committee made up of 6 Republicans and 3 Democrat state senators with the goal of answering 2 big questions.
The first question we want to answer is, have Georgia funds or Fulton County funds been misappropriated or misused? And then secondly, if there is a conflict of interest here, what, if any, state laws may need to change to address that?
The committee could become a reality as soon as the end of the week. Recent bank statements showed that Willis and Wade indeed traveled together several times after Wade was hired, and recent court filing claims that Wade, in some cases, billed the DA for 24-hour workdays.
So you didn't sleep? You didn't sleep. That's all I want to know. How do you bill for a 24-hour workday? Because if you work in 24 hours, then cool, just let me know. But how in God's name are we justifying? How is it a political witch hunt for somebody to investigate the possibility of somebody billing for? You know, I think that's called, what is that called? Time card fraud or something like that? How do you bill for a 24-hour workday? And we just supposed to just act like it didn't happen. This is what stand on code. Stand on code, get the tax dollars taken. Stand on code doesn't allow for us to be and hold people accountable for what it is that they're doing. So you telling me you worked 24 hours a day, and that's what your timesheet say? That's what you submitted for a billable hour? Come on, family. Come on. This is what we doing? This is your special prosecutor? This is your Fulton County DA? This what we doing? How is this any different than Tiffany Henyard? Don't worry about it. Let's continue. Shout out to you, Brock. I appreciate you.
Dolezal says of the $30 million the state provides to local district attorneys' offices, Fulton County gets around 10% of that.
If you were the benefactor of expenses that were coming from someone who was paid, in some cases I'm told for 24-hour days of billing, and you were the recipient of vacations around the world, you would have a personal interest perhaps in ensuring that the prosecution continued.
The district attorney's office had no comment on the committee.
At least they smarter than Tiffany Henyard. They're not over here saying,
Right, and if you recall, last year, lawmakers here passed a bill that established a prosecutorial oversight commission that would investigate and possibly discipline DAs that have complaints against them. This is different. This, again, has nothing to do with discipline. They are simply investigating and authoring a report to turn over to their colleagues here.
and that's unfortunate because we got people that's finessing on a taxpayer's dime. Look, it don't really bother me because that's what's happening in Fulton County. Georgia, anybody that's over in Georgia, anybody that hang out in Atlanta, anybody that's a resident, anybody that pays taxes over there, paying taxes and letting this person overbill and take on Caribbean trips in order to be able to prosecute you at the same time. Y'all the ones that want, if y'all don't want better for your own city, similar to Chicago, if you don't want better for your own city, similar to Chicago, you know, I just don't understand the culture. I don't. For me, I always call for accountability. You know, I spent years and years and years documenting the process and holding my city accountable. I mean, I showed the worst of my city while also showing the best of the best. If you go back and you look at a lot of my content, most of it, especially for a certain period of time, both inside of the city and around in the surrounding areas, I documented and I held accountable what it was that I did not like about the city and why I wanted it to change, while also not moving away from Michigan. And then there were things that I absolutely loved. And then I'm moving even further into the core of what's happening into the city and investing all of my dollars. I remember about a year and a half ago, around the same time, what was it, the end of 2021, beginning of 2022? Or maybe it was the end of 2022 going into 2023. And I said, listen, I'm going to invest X amount of dollars, and it was over like $1.5 million into my own city of my own money. And that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what we did. And now we invest in even more money into our own city, and we partnering with so many different people. And shout out to my girl, Carrie. We partnering with a lot of people that's over in the city to continue to build it up. And we absolutely love how things are going and in transition and becoming what it is. Now, it's unfortunate because y'all going through what it is that we went through before we went into the bankruptcy, and that most of these liberal cities are in a space to where they don't know what's happening, and they're one disaster away from everything going kaplooey. And they in denial. And instead of addressing the issues within their own backyard, they point the finger and say, oh man, why you not mad at this? Or why you keep bringing us to the front of the congregation? Because I want you to do better. You deserve, the residents of Fulton County, the residents of Georgia, the residents of Atlanta, the residents of Chicago and the Metro Detroit areas, they all deserve better than what they have right now. You should be bringing your own, look, at the end of the day, I'm here in Michigan. You still got to go to sleep in your own neighborhood where they killing 2-year-olds and they got Uber drivers crashing out. Aaron, you know what's so bad about Aaron? You know what's so unfortunate about Aaron? Is because Aaron is justifying y'all bad behavior, but he got the heck up out of there. He not even in Chicago no more. His son is safe. He brought his son to the meetup. I said, what up, little man? I could tell he ain't never stepped foot in Chicago before. I know for a fact Aaron's son ain't never visited Chicago, not a day in his life. But he will continue to incentivize y'all to crash out. He'll incentivize y'all to crash out. Hey, yeah, no, Chicago. He watching from further away than I am from Chicago. He incentivizing y'all to crash out, and he been gone for a long time and ain't never came back. He don't even go back to visit his family. He said, I'm up out of here. Y'all need to do better. Or don't do better, but don't look to move over to Texas. Don't run over to Florida. Don't go over down in Nashville and all of that. No, stay where you at and let them tax you to death. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to you. I'm just telling you the truth. It don't get no more real than that. I could have moved anywhere I wanted to in this entire country or outside of the country. I chose to stay here. See, it's a difference when you ain't got no choice but to stay there. But it's a whole nother ball game when you choose to stay there. Shout out to AL. We love you, big dog.